Welcome to Module 4 of the Web Mapping class. In this module, we're going to concentrate mainly on working with ArcGIS Online. This module will be broken into 3 videos to keep them a little bit shorter for you. And so the first video, we're going to talk about some of the bases of ArcGIS Online and how do you put a map up and some things like that. And then we'll move on into the other components of the course. So in this module, you'll see that we have 4 major objectives that you're going to try to achieve. You're going to create a map in ArcGIS Online using data that you built off of your desktop machine, and you're going to move that data onto the map, on the online map. We'll refer to ArcGIS Online as AGO. We're going to create a map utilizing a map service from your ArcGIS server. So you constructed earlier in this course an ArcGIS server. We're going to take one of those services that you created and we're going to move that onto the ArcGIS server. We're going to create a feature class map on the ArcGIS that you have hopefully on your own ArcGIS server, but you could do it just from AGO. Take that feature service, which is editable, and we'll be able to then use that editable feature. And finally, using an editable feature, we'll create something called a collector application. A collector application is an app that you can load on a smart device, and this smart device application can then do field data collection. AGO is not a free product. It's part of the Esri suite, and therefore you must have a user account to be able to get into AGO. A little bit about AGO. As I said, it's a web component of Esri's mapping suite. There's a lot that you can do in AGO beyond just creating web maps. That's what we're going to use AGO for, is to create web maps and collector applications. But you can actually do analysis, cluster analysis, buffering. A lot of the stuff you can do in desktop can be done in AGO. But it does give you the ability to create online maps. So we used our services previously, like in a Flex map or in a Silverlight map. You can create actually mapping products in AGO also. Again, you must have an Esri account. Accounts should be given to you by your instructor. It's part of the institutional license that your organization should have. So we're going to create a map. So we want you to start ArcMap, and then we want you to also log into your AGO account. And this is in the File menu. So if you go to File, you'll see there's a place to log into AGO. This gives us the ability right from desktop to publish into AGO. And so this is the first thing we have to do. But you got to be logged into at desktop level to be able to make this happen. We want you to construct a map that has at least 3 layers. And you have saved your work on either your desktop hard drive or on a network drive that you have access to. It doesn't really matter. I like that your files are saved in a geodatabase, a personal geodatabase. Now, this is not a relational database that we're talking about at this point. But don't make these huge files, because you're going to be transporting these files across. So we want to make the files a usable size file. So don't make them a huge file in what you're doing. The process of publishing is what we're going to do in the next several slides. So you need to make a map. It doesn't have to be complicated. I like if it has some zoom levels that turn on and off, or labels that turn on and off, just so you see some of the usefulness of it. But again, these don't need to be complicated layers. They just need to be things that you want to display. So while you're still in ArcMap, under the File menu area, you'll see Share, and then you want to make a service. And when you do that, the figure that's showing on the screen should show up. First thing you need to do is come over here on the right-hand side, and you need to use that pull down. And this is the same way we shared when we did before to your own ArcGIS server, but now we want to share to my hosted services. And my particular hosted services is my organization. Your organization might be different. And then you give the service a name. You may not use spaces in that name or special characters, so be careful on the naming that you use. and then finally you come down to continue and you move on to the next screen. When you move on to the next screen, it should look just basically like what you did before when you published your own map to your own server. It's the same service editor, and so you're here in the service editor. Again, this is going to come up here because you're connected to a hosted service now. You've got some parameters down the left-hand side here that you can look at. You have to go through the analysis features, and you can look at the preview, and then you can publish it actually to ArcGIS. So obviously, to be able to publish to ArcGIS, you've got to have an internet connection. If you don't have an internet connection, then you cannot make this publication happen. And the first thing we want you to do is come over here and analyze to see what's going on with your map. Do you have problems with it? Are there serious errors that won't let you move forward with your map? A lot of times you'll find one of those errors being that you haven't given any metadata to your information, so you have to create some metadata. Again, we're going to use that Italian map. We're only going to do some zooming at the provincial level and the subdivision level of the provinces, but we're not going to zoom all the way down to the street level for what we're doing. You can modify a lot of parameters here. We're just going to modify a few of these parameters so you see and understand how things work. And you analyze your map and see if we have any critical problems. As I said, finally, we're going to publish the map when we get everything correct. So we go through this publishing routine as, again, it's the same very, very straightforward way that you did it when you were publishing to your Arc server, but this is basically published into an Arc server. But except this time, you're going to create the map on ArcGIS Online. And this is not a web map you're creating at this point. At this point, what you're creating is a service. Then you go to your web browser and you got to log into ArcGIS. Again, that's where you have to have that same account that you logged in on your desktop with. You need to locate what you created. Should be pretty easy if this is the first thing that's ever been published to your account. And you want to click on the service name, which will open a new window that gives you information about the service. Then you want to open that service into a new map and click Save As and give your map a name. This can be the same name as the service. Sometimes that can get confusing if you use the exact same name as the service, but it can be the same name as the service. Obviously, we need to see that you've done this successfully, so give us an image. You need to share your map to your course group. Don't share it to the world. You could, and it doesn't hurt anything on this case, but this is a map service. It's not a feature class you're going to do editing. The one that I created for Italy, you can find at this URL. It is an active URL, so you can go there and you can actually see what I have created. And you'll see that the zooms turn on and off. It starts off without seeing any map. It's just a map of Italy with my base map showing up. And then as you zoom in a little bit, you'll see the provincial level and then the sub-provincial level showing up after that. So for your assignment, you're going to create a work in ArcGIS Online. It can be anything that you want. Again, it should have 3 layers, and you should be using either Zoom Layer or Zoom Map, so that things turn on and off automatically for you. And you're going to give your instructor a screenshot of this, and you're going to give them a URL. So as I walk through the process, you can be building your own map, walking through the same exact process. So this is the first component that we want to make sure that you can do, is to be able to put something up on ArcGIS from your desktop. The second part of this process is going to be consuming a map service. So first of all, you got to have a map service to be able to consume it. So one of the things that we're looking at is that you have something already running on your ArcGIS server, and then we're going to consume that service up online. And so you're taking basically a service created at your desktop level, your local server level, and you're going to bring that into ArcGIS, and then we'll be able to use that. And this is being a map service, not a feature class service, so this is still a non-editable service. So make sure you know where information is located on your ArcGIS server, and we're going to create a map in ArcGIS. So we're going to connect things together. So first thing is you got to go to a new map. You have to give us some metadata, a title, some tags, and maybe a short description has to be given. As you can see, I'm going to use a historical map that I created of Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, about the Gettysburg battlefield. Use the Add pull down and select a layer to add. When you use that Add pull down, you're going to see something like this. I selected it was an ArcGIS server service, and this is the address to my information. This is public information because it is a map service. It is not a feature class. On a feature class, you'd have trouble getting to it, and we're not going to use it as a base map, so we leave that box unchecked, and we're going to say add the layer. When I added this map service, this is a map that we've been working on in Gettysburg on where we took some data points. If you go over to the map here, you're going to see some green circles, and these green circles are places we took GPS points and did photography work on the Gettysburg battlefield. You're going to save this map, and you're going to share it. By sharing it, you give other people the ability to see. And now you can share this map to everyone, but you have to at least share it to your study group so that they can go in and look at it. But you can share it to everyone, but it doesn't make any difference. But this is a map service, and that way anybody can get there. Notice there's going to be a URL created. These are short URLs. The actual URL is a lot longer than this, but these are short URLs that are created. And you can go to actually My Map and explore My Map. Make sure you give this information to your instructor after you create your own map so that your instructor can see what you've done. That's the end of the first section. So in the first section, you've taken a map that was on your desktop and you took it up to ArcGIS Online. It was, again, a non-feature map, so it was non-editable. Second, we connected to our ArcGIS server where we had a map that we'd already created previously, or you had to create one for this assignment. Should have had one that you already created previously, and we took it into ArcGIS Online and showed how to display it. So that's the end of the first video. The second video will continue this work.